Hi everyone. Hey Dr. Bruce.
Hey, Tony.
Here we are with episode 12 of Toni and Dr. Bruce, which is the fifth show in our Soulmates series. And today, or this show, we're talking 5 signs that you may indeed be soulmates with another. This is part 2.
And let's begin with a quick review of some of what we covered in the previous episodes. Now, if you remember, in the first show of this series, we mentioned that the term soulmate commonly holds the connotation of being the strongest bond with another person that you can achieve. And is a soulmate is someone with whom we've shared many, many past life experiences. Tony?
And we saw that there are 3 types of soulmates: companion soulmates, who are people we may encounter either as our closest friend or as a person you just click with. They work well together, they're project oriented, well mated, and are extremely compatible. And the relationship is not usually a permanent one, nor is it a romantic one. In many cases, once the service mission plan or project is completed, there might be no further need for the relationship and the togetherness vanishes. So companion soulmates can include parents, children, friends, relatives, or co-workers. Dr. Bruce?
Now, the second type of soulmate is the karmic soulmate. And this does imply a romantic relationship. Now, we saw how when you physically meet a karmic soulmate, it feels magnetic, like there's static or sparks in the air. It may start off as a purely physical attraction, but develop into intense sexual chemistry, or there may be sexual chemistry from the very beginning. And finally, a karmic soulmate is a person we're mated to with a deep and honest, intimate connection. Tony.
And the third type of soulmate we talked about was the twin flame. While we all have a twin flame, most people mistake karmic soulmates or twin flame soulmates, which is understandable. There are, however, many different. And there's incredible chemistry and attraction towards each other. It could be said that they complete each other, not my favorite term. They're often very much alike, and the intensity of the connection is sometimes, but not always, too much to handle. So they might painfully end up parting ways.
Yeah, now in all 3 types of soulmates, companion, karmic, and twin flame, are taken into consideration. What's important to keep in mind in a soulmate encounter is that external circumstances such as social status, religious, political, or racial differences, social conventions, and age differences, in the end, don't matter. And they will not matter at all. 2 souls meet when it's time for them to meet. In a true soulmate encounter, there are hardly any ifs, ands, or buts because fate is in charge. Tony?
We also discussed the first 5 of the 10 signs that you might indeed be soulmates with another. So let's review them. 1 is that you know in your gut or intuitively that you've found the one. There's really no guessing or wondering when the real thing comes along. There's usually telltale signs that let you know when true love has arrived: a voice in your head or a sense of recognition, an intuitive feeling, a knowing that this is someone really special to you. And it is the most fabulous feeling. You know that it's meant to be, no matter where you are or what you're doing, and no matter who else you might be with in that moment.
And number 2, you communicate without speaking. Soulmates can read each other like an open book. One may finish the other's sentences. They may pick up the phone or call each other at the same time. You're able to understand what they're thinking. You pick up on their moods. More often than not, you could complete each other's sentences because you just know how their brain thinks. Tony?
And number 3, the physical chemistry is palpable and unmistakable. So the electricity that you feel doesn't just happen on a sexual level, although that is a definite part of it, Holding the hand of your soulmate throws your spirit into a whirlwind. And when you physically meet and touch, it feels like magic, like there's static or sparks in the air. Oh, Bruce, Dr. Bruce.
Number 4, you've been totally comfortable around each other since day one. Soulmates connect with ease right off the bat. They often feel a sense of the familiar, a sense of comfort around each other. They take risks, and they share their inner world, their emotions, and their needs. Toni.
So number 5 is that the relationship isn't all rainbows and lollipops, where he or she actually challenges you like no one else can. The soulmate relationship isn't always smooth sailing. The relationship will come without challenge, or
Will not.
without. Yet the difference is that the life circumstances and the difficult challenges are a strengthening power that becomes the glue that maybe keeps you together through difficult times and helps each of you become your most authentic self. So they're learning environments, learning relationships.
I believe that's true, very much so. Now, on to the topic of this week's show, signs 6 through 10 that you may indeed be soulmates with another. And number 6, you might not see eye to eye on every little thing, but you're on the same page where it really matters. A soulmate relationship doesn't necessarily mean both partners always share the same views, but that their overall goals and ambitions match. Opinions will naturally differ, but soulmates generally have the same virtues and values, and they do see the world through a similar lens.
So sounds like a bit of synergy in values and beliefs.
I believe so, very much.
So number 7 is that the relationship brings both partners a sense of inner calm. And it's obvious when you're with the wrong person, you are insecure about the relationship and worry that one false move might turn your partner off. That's not necessarily the case for soulmates. You might feel more confident that your partner is with you for the long haul. No matter what happens in your lives, you both agree that you're teammates and in it together. Your inner voice tells you that you are in a healthy relationship. You trust each other, feel confident and comfortable around each other, and feel safe discussing challenging topics in a mature way. Dr. Bruce.
You and your partner have separate identities, but you face the world as one. Soulmates recognize that they are two parts of the same whole, and no outside influence or external matter can break that bond. Okay.
Number 9 is that you may have known each other for months or even years, but you suddenly find yourself ready for love at the same time. So when it comes to true love, timing is everything. They might have met in high school or in their 20s, maybe dated, broke up, moved on, or hung around the same circle of friends and never connected. Then one day they run into each other, and sometimes in magical ways, the love blooms. So the lesson here is keep an open mind and an open heart so that when your soulmate comes knocking, you're ready to answer the door.
And number 10, there is this unavoidable draw, a compulsion to follow through and make the initial meeting something more. Even if you're not 100% clear as to why, there's this pull that drives you to make contact, often beyond the usual behavior. Like you might be extraordinarily loyal, yet the pull to connect forces you outside of your usual character. You know, as we mentioned in one of the previous shows, two souls meet when it's time for them to meet. In a true soulmate encounter, there are hardly any ifs, ands, or buts, nor morals.
And we also suggested that morals may consist solely in the courage of listening to your heart and making a choice.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Now, as we did last week, and the few previous weeks, we're going to read some stories that our viewers have sent in. And this first one is another story from someone who contributed last week, and it's written as beautifully as the one from last week. And it's from Michael again. In 1997, my world changed. I left a full-time position I'd been working at since 1900. 1990 rather. I started a little while later in a partnership for a cafe. I expected the partnership to work so well. Many more little businesses would flow from this beginning. My wife and I started by moving cities to be a day-to-day working partnership. However, people seem to have an eye on jealousy over agreement. Yet in the midst of all the gnashing of hard-headedness, out of all the grinding of wills, stressing points that were only self-ego, came a moment when a lady walked into the cafe with two young children. Belinda was a fresh breeze of ease. I stood there talking, her eyes dancing. I swear I heard her ask, "How can I help you?" Though the words never passed her lips. How can I help you? Now, if that isn't the words a soulmate would use, I couldn't think of better ones. I asked her if she was looking for work, and as I was to move the family down south, 200 kilometers away, I would be coming back to do a shift every Sunday. Now, this relationship that happened every Sunday wasn't sexual. It wasn't romantic. It was work. Yet it was done because we were who we were to each other. Sure, there was a wage, me as the employer, her as the employee. Yet, when you have a lady turn up for a Sunday shift week after week, perform needed tasks without having to say actual words, yet just pass thoughts back and forth as the day flows. To witness a lady change her look over weeks to such an extent to mirror your inner desired appearance of a womanly form, color, and style to match your vibe, to have the forward knowledge of her arrival, of her feelings, her pain, or delight, one has to ask, what gods are on our sides? She worked beside me as a partner to draw the business to a pinnacle of success. She walked around the workspace leaning on me leaning on her. Touch, it was rare. Yet from my point, touch was an important boundary never to step over, lest the magic was broken. Jealousy rose again within working rank and file. Stories abounded of an affair, so passionate that it was whispered in the community amongst women. But Belinda held her nerve. She was single and young, 22 years old. I was married and 35 years old. Age doesn't demand a stage entrance when two soulmates meet. I admitted one day to my wife that there was talk about me having an affair. The mother of my two kids never saw fondly on my Sunday working day. The final straw came when a close personal friend stabbed me in the back over my perceived attitude towards a lady, citing that the affair had to end. The business was shut down due to the landlord being disgusted at the attitude of my business partners. I chose to dissolve the partnership and thus lost a huge wealth of investment. People were placed on the unemployment line. There were no winners. Her and I looked at each other on the last day of my involvement. Two souls that understood each other, appreciated each other, longed for each other. Simply smiled a smile, turned about face, and walked in opposite directions, never to meet again. Yet, she flows in my veins. She also still talks to me inside my mind, if I'm still alive. Beautifully written, again.
Michael is so, he's so romantic the way that he writes, isn't it?
It is.
Thanks, Michael. I have a story now I have two short ones this week. I'm just going to get them up here so I can read them to you. So the first one is from Amanda, and she says this. Many years ago, I remember a gentleman walked into a room I was in whilst waiting to see his wife for a reading, as she was a medium energy healer. And the atmosphere changed completely as we recognized each other from a previous life in France. I let out a soul cry as he had been the one responsible for ordering mine and others' deaths, as I was known as I was a Cathar, known as the good people at that time. And he asked if I would forgive him for his action, which I duly did. It was incredible and powerful for the two of us. His wife aided us both with healing. Talk about synchronicity. How cute is that for a story? Thanks, Amanda. And now my story too is from Yvette. So Yvette says, I worked in an area where we saw a number of people each day. One day, a colleague of my boss was away and we were seeing any of his clients who were in need. A man called up and immediately clicked on the phone. He came in and I felt like I'd known him forever. Very comfortable, easy conversation. Needless to say, he chose to attend our rooms for all future appointments. I felt I had known him in a past life. While attending some spiritual courses, I mentioned it to my mentor. And we sat together for a while, and she said that we had actually worked together in a past life in Egypt. He was an apothecary. Did I pronounce that right? Hope so. And I was a wayfarer. This felt very right to me. Interestingly, in this life, he has degrees in both pharmacy and medicine. Okay, I thought, and stored this info. After a couple of years, he came in one day and told me that he'd had a dream about me the night before. I laughed and said that I must have been the woman from his dreams. Ha ha. And he said we were in ancient Egypt working together. I was his assistant and we were working with unwell people. I thought, what the? And I never told him what I knew, as I wasn't sure of his beliefs, and as it was my workplace. I felt it might have been inappropriate to do so. I just laughed and said, maybe we knew each other in a previous life, and he just laughed and agreed. How cute. Yeah. So
both of them.
Yeah, they're cute, all right. So thanks for contributing stories for us to read out.
Very much. Thank you.
And that's it for this week. So in the next show, we're going to be doing Q&A, all things soulmates. Please post your questions and we will answer as many as possible in the next show. And for this one, you've been watching Toni and Dr. Bruce, where we discuss all matters related to reincarnation and past life regression. Do us a favor and tell your friends so that they can watch too. Share this show around. And if you would like to experience past life regression at a super affordable price, then follow the link to Dr. Bruce's website. You can use the, what's that thing called? It's a discount code, Journey27, so that you can get it for $27 instead of $47. So here we go. We've been here before and we will be again.
As a matter of fact, we'll be here next week.
And we hope you will too.
See ya.
See you.